Shangri-La is one of my favorite maps of all time, and I've loved Shangri-La for a long time. Back in the day, people used to hate this map. You know, it's tight, there's not many good places to train, it's not an ideal map for your average zombie player, but oh man did I love this map. The atmosphere was a breath of fresh air from all the other just drab and gloomy Black Ops maps. I love the baby gun. I thought Shangri-La did a lot of things right, and for that reason it was my favorite map, but people really dislike this map because it's difficult. I mean, where the hell are you supposed to train on this map? It's not like Ascension where you've got a wide open area. And it begs the question, if this map is so hard, then how are people able to set world records on this map? What do they do? That's what we'll be exploring today in this episode of World Record Runs, How It's Done. Today we'll be looking to see how some of the greatest zombie players in the world are achieving new heights and new world records on Shangri-La. Before we jump into it, I just want to make a quick reminder that my Zombie Killer t-shirts are for sale throughout the month of May. There's about 1 week left to get them. If you want to get them, I'd recommend you get them now before they're gone. Without further ado though, let's jump into the jungle. So how are people setting world records and reaching high rounds on a map that's supposedly so difficult? Well, the Black Ops Shangri-La world record is currently held by PlayFan and sits at round 194. Before we dive into what goes on in his run, I do want to give a shout out and a big thank you to PHUNIX for helping me research, proofread, and write this script. A link to him will be in the description. You can go check out his Twitter and his Twitch. He's an amazing zombies player, and as well, a link to PlayFan's game will be in the description. I'd recommend you check out both. But let's dive into this game. The game ended at round 194, which ended with PlayFan unfortunately getting overwhelmed during an insta-kill round. What was disappointing about this run was that he was making great time. He was 66 hours into the game and was at round 194. His previous run to round 190 reset 67 hours in the game. So he managed to build a 4-round lead in roughly that same amount of time. And it's estimated that Shangri-La will reset 70 hours in. So potentially, depending on what his reset time would have been in the game, and it's hard to say right now, he might have had a lot more time left to play. And this speaks to the potential that Shangri-La has. During this game, he had some pretty bad box lock, and sometimes trades took as long as 40 minutes. If you can get a game with good box RNG, well then, the sky might be the limit. The strategy to reach the high rounds revolves, as you might expect, around the baby gun. What's great about the baby gun is that it has a massive amount of ammo. We're talking 48 rounds pack-a-punch, 78 in total between the non-pack-a-punched and the pack-a-punched version. Plus, the baby gun has the ability to give you drops, and you can convert those drops into max ammos on Shangri-La. This is, though, a lot more tricky than people realize, especially when you're running these very difficult strategies. Depending on how you kill the zombies, monkeys may or may not pick up the drop. It depends. So even with all this ammo and the possibility of converting this ammo or these drops into max ammos, you're going to eventually need to trade out the baby gun. Constantly trading out the wonder weapon is a momentum killer when you're running a trade strat. Think back to when we were talking about runs on Ascension, and a decent bit of time was spent hitting the box. And this is going to happen a lot, especially when you're getting into the 200s and you're going to need 4 to 5 wonder weapons just to get through a single round. Shangri-La can sometimes have some pretty unlucky box RNG, and so one thing players will do to make sure that they hang on to their baby guns longer is increase the likelihood of getting max ammos. One way to do this is to get the baby gun out of the first box. Players will restart their game until they get the baby gun without the box ever moving. If the box never moves, then fire sales will never spawn in. This means this is one less drop that you have in your drop cycle. Another thing players will do is make sure that there are only 4 windows open at a given time. This prevents carpenters from spawning in, and suddenly in your drop cycle, you only have 4 drops in there. So if you're going to get 4 drops around and you have 4 drops in your drop cycle, you've essentially fixed your drop cycle such that you get 1 full cycle per round, and you'll then in turn get at least 1 max ammo per round. This assumes that you don't convert any of them into max ammos. And this doesn't completely eliminate the need for trading out your wonder weapon, but it does then mean that you're going to need fewer trades per round and then in turn play faster. So once you get the baby gun, you're going to train in the AK room. But in an ideal situation, you're going to start your run in the M16 room. By starting here, what you're doing is making all of the zombies spawn in on this side of the map. They're spawning in the M16 room and in the Semtex room. So you wait a couple seconds, let the zombies start spawning in, and then you make a break for the AK room. From here, you round up the zombies and then shrink them and kill them with the Semtexes. You're going to follow pretty much this exact movement that you're seeing them do here. It's pretty precise in how you want to move to be as efficient as possible. And then once all the zombies are dead, you make a break for the M16 room, rinse, and repeat. By making a break for the M16 room as fast as possible, you're trying to flip the spawns. You don't want them spawning in the AK room, you want them spawning in the M16 and Semtex room. Now, sometimes things don't go exactly to plan. Maybe you don't kill all the zombies with the Semtexes, or maybe you just need to go and run and grab more Semtexes. And this will prevent you from being able to run directly into the M16 room. Then what you're going to need to do is kind of just round up the zombies and train in the AK room, because if you were to make a break for the M16 room because you didn't get the opportunity to flip the spawns, you might end up getting trapped in there. And one of the things you'll notice is that the players will almost always carry a pack-a-punch crossbow with them. This is for a number of reasons. One of the reasons is that, well, having the pack-a-punch crossbow is like having a bunch of monkey bombs, but it also is very useful when dealing with the napalm zombies, and also helps you avoid getting stuck when you're trading out your baby gun. On insta-kill rounds, I've seen two really cool strategies. The first is to sit in the M16 room with a pack-a-punch M16 and blow away the zombies with your grenade launcher. The grenade launcher has a massive range in zombies, so you can just blow away the zombies. And it may look like they're not really shooting at the zombies directly. It kind of looks random, but this is actually pretty precise what they're trying to do here. They're aiming exactly for the zombies' spawn points. So when he's shooting at that perk machine, he's actually aiming for a little window behind the perk machine that leads to a spawn point. And players, what they'll actually do is reset their game multiple times so that Deadshot or PhD is in that spot. This then makes shooting behind the perk machine much easier. And they're also shooting here at the ceiling to hit the zombies that are coming from the ceiling. So I really like this strategy. It's a camping strategy, and it's pretty efficient, and they're taking advantage of the M16's massive range, as well as how quickly the zombies are spawning and just taking them out right at the source. The other insta-kill strategy on this map is absolutely wild. As you can see, he's just throwing Semtexes non-stop into the same part of the ceiling so that the zombies can't touch him. You want to make sure you're aiming for the ceiling, because sometimes if you're aiming at the ground, you might not kill all the zombies. And this one is just ridiculous. You watch it and there's no way this should work. But somehow it does. It's the perfect storm where you're taking advantage of how quickly the zombies are spawning, and you're taking advantage of the M16's range and the insta-kill. It just works. It's a perfect storm. And you kind of have to be pretty spot on with your aim, I'd imagine, because if you screw up or you mess up the timing, well, then the zombies are going to be breathing down your throat. And I swear, watching him move and grab grenades and restock is amazing. The movement is almost robotic-like, and it's machine-like with how quickly he's going. The reason he's able to do these movements so precisely and so quickly, though, is of course because he's playing on mouse and keyboard. Moving on into co-op, the strategy is actually very similar to the solo strategy. They're not exactly the same, but they kind of follow the same idea. PHUNIX and Kebab hold the co-op world record of 136. They're playing the same strategy, except they start in different places. PHUNIX sits by the Semtexes and Kebab goes to the M16 room. They run into the AK room, and PHUNIX takes all the zombies, and the same movement similar to the solo strategy, while Kebab hides in the tunnel. Then, when the time is right, Kebab runs out, and PHUNIX shrinks them and kills the zombies. The reason this is able to work is because PHUNIX is the white player. This means that the zombies must choose who to chase, and they're going to chase after the player who is on top, which is white, and in this case, PHUNIX. This means that if they time their movement right, PHUNIX will get all of the zombies and Kebab can safely hide in the tunnel. Those are your basic strategies if you want to make a run for the high rounds on Shangri-La. And I think it's important to note that the records on Shangri-La are lower than other maps for two reasons. One is that Shangri-La doesn't have really a special round. When 1/5 of your rounds are really short dog or monkey rounds, then it's really easy to fly through the rounds. Sadly, on Shangri-La, you don't have that luxury, and as a result, the rounds are a lot lower. Had Shangri-La had dog or monkey rounds or something like that, then you can imagine if 1/5 of them are a special round, then that's an extra 40 rounds or so that are only going to take a minute long. So it's disappointing Shangri-La doesn't have that. The other reason is that, well, Shangri-La isn't played as much in the high round community, it seems. This could be potentially because of all the RNG that goes into a proper setup, you trying to get the baby gun on the first box, as well as also making sure that you have either Deadshot or PhD in the M16 room. Those combine makes for a little bit of difficult RNG when you're getting set up. Either way, Shangri-La has a lot of potential, and it seems as though a round 200 game is absolutely possible in terms of time, and with new strategies like what 5 and 5 has developed with this M16 V3 strat, it should be doable, and it's just going to take some time for players to really get into this map and make a run for the 200s. So Shangri-La is definitely a map that I think people should be keeping their eye on, and there will be a lot of room for development in the future. And a link to some of 5 and 5's new strats can be found in the description. Let's now move on to Black Ops 3 Shangri-La. Shockingly, nobody has maxed this map out to 255 yet. KXG 124 currently holds the highest Shangri-La round ever at 205, and he holds this by a wide margin. The next highest is 156. And there's definitely a lot more interest in Shangri-La for Black Ops than there is for Shangri-La in Black Ops 3. And this is for several reasons. The first reason is that the baby gun's kinda glitchy. For whatever reason, there just seems to be a lot of resistance when you're running through the shrunken zombies in Black Ops 3. In Black Ops, I would describe running through these zombies like a knife through hot butter, while in Black Ops, running through the zombies is, well, like a knife through cold butter. And the hit detection with the zombies is also off for some reason. It can be hard to get a sense of how much damage you've taken from the shrunken zombies and then go down really easily. These two factors combined make for a lot of just kind of random, unpredicted or unexpected deaths with the baby gun in Black Ops 3, and I think for that reason, people tend to shy away from this map. Another reason is that setting up for this map can be very RNG dependent. I'll talk about this more later, but getting set up and starting a game requires a good amount of RNG, and you might be needing to reset a lot to get that proper RNG. So as I mentioned, KXG currently holds the world record on Shangri-La, and when speaking to him, he explained to me that this game was much less about setting the world record and much more about exploring the resets on this map, which not many people had done. KXG played this game for 74 hours, and his game reset at round 205, and this was the first time anybody had ever really experienced a reset on Black Ops 3 Shangri-La, or at least the first recorded reset on Black Ops 3 Shangri-La. By playing this game, KXG was able to determine what players would need to do to reach round 255. Assuming that your game reset in 74 hours, then you would most likely need to be playing with an SPH of 12 seconds. SPH stands for seconds per horde, and that means that when you're playing, you're killing a whole horde of 24 zombies every 12 seconds. This is really fast, and if you can play that fast, you should be able to reach round 255 before your game resets in 74 hours. Now, of course, a 74-hour reset isn't a hard deadline. It might be 75. This game might have been an exception, and it might actually be closer to, say, 71, 72. We don't actually know what the reset time is. We just know that KXG reset in 74 hours, so it's probably not that far off from that time. It would need more exploration to get a better sense of the number. The strategy KXG used is created by High Round Zombie Master 5 and 5. He offers two different strategies. The first strategy is you running in the Semtex room. What you do is you keep the door to the waterfall room shut. And you're basically making your run towards Deadshot and running a loop in this part of the room. You then make a break to that door that I mentioned that you keep shut, back yourself in, shrink the zombies, and run right through them. This strategy is really fast and gives you an SPH of 16 seconds, which should get you deep into the 200s if you can pull this off for a whole game. Now, pulling this off for a whole game is the problem. The zombies spawning through the windows are really inconsistent and kind of tricky to deal with. Sometimes you'll get an even and predictable amount of zombies coming through all the windows, and sometimes you'll get a barrage of 20 zombies coming out of one window. and this level of unpredictability makes the strategy a lot more difficult to pull off for long periods of time. The strategy that KXG used in his game actually takes place on the other side of the waterfall, and again, you're keeping that door shut, but instead you're training in this room. It's kind of straightforward. You're running circles around this room and killing zombies with alternate ammo types. And what's nice is that killing the zombies with the alternate ammo types is a lot more of a trickling effect rather than killing a whole horde at once. This makes running in this room a lot more manageable. If you're killing all the zombies at once, then you're going to get 24 zombies spawning in at once, but if you slowly kill them with your alternate ammo types, you can manage the zombies that are coming in. The alternate ammo types you're using are dead wire on the Kuda, and since you're right there, you can buy ammo, and you might also want to run a weapon with turned as your mule kick weapon. What's nice about turned is that by having a zombie turned and then picking off other zombies in the horde, it'll dramatically cut your SPH. So this is a pretty safe strategy, but because it's safe, it's a slower strategy. You're going to be running an SPH of 23 seconds. So that SPH needs to drop by 11 seconds if somebody wants to reach 255 using this strategy. Now, using turned in tandem with deadwire will definitely help speed things up. Turned has been shown to dramatically cut down SPHs, but more testing is going to need to be done. That is where we're at with Shangri-La at the moment. This is a map begging for more testing and more exploration. There's been a lot of speculation on various different strategies that could help reduce the SPH and then maybe reach a 255 max, but again, people need to play this map a bit more and try to make more runs. The idea right now is to run in the Kuda room, but keep the door to the cave shut instead rather than the door by the Kuda/AK-74U. This becomes problematic though because there's a Pack-a-Punch stone in that tunnel. So if you get bad RNG and the Pack-a-Punch stone goes in that tunnel and you don't have the alternate ammo types you need like dead wire and turned, well then you're going to need to reset your game because then there is no other way to Pack-a-Punch your weapons or get those alternate ammo types. And this is what I was talking about when I mentioned that Shangri-La has a lot of RNG dependencies that need to be accounted for. Because there's a 1 in 4 chance that the Pack-a-Punch stone can go into a room that is unreachable, then it's pretty likely that your game could get ruined. So that's where this becomes problematic. With that said though, the wheel of progress will continue to turn and Shangri-La is ripe for an explosion in world records. It's going to take some time though, and hopefully the world record community can put more focus into Shangri-La. When talking to KXG, he believes that within a year, there will be new world records set on Shangri-La in Black Ops 3 by either himself or somebody else. So this is an exciting map to keep an eye on, and I would recommend you do that. With that said, that's going to wrap up this video. If you enjoyed it, maybe go to like, possibly subscribe for more. I'm always covering world records, so if you enjoyed this video, I'm sure you'll enjoy the next one. As a reminder, you can check out the Zombie Killer t-shirts. A link is in the description. They're only going to be available for about a week or so get them while they're available. I'm going to go. Have a wonderful day, and bye.